In our previous lesson, we were able to finish up building our master database, and this is the database that is now complete that we'll be using to build the first statement, and that is the profit and loss statement. Well, so we were able to create this master database from the records, the financial year statements, or rather the trial balances for 2018, 17, and 2016. And then we were able to clean it up by removing duplicates. And then we were able to pull figures, the amount figures, into the master database using a formula we called sumif or sumifs. For us, we use sumifs function. So now, after that, I gave you an assignment, and that assignment was populating the mapping section and mapping each entry into a master database into, or rather using the categories that we are going to have in our P&L statement. So I believe you have done that, and now I have provided you with the populated cells here. So your work now is just going to be comparing whether you scored correctly, whether you are able to categorize them as they should, or if you have missed something, you can compare with what I've done here. I've populated everything to the bottom, right? So you're just gonna go through them one by one and see if there is something that you missed, and then you can adjust correctly. Now, today in the workbook that I've given, I've added another sheet, and this sheet now is the P&L statement template. All right, so now I've built or I've prepared a template that we'll be using here, and this template will be populating it from our master database. So we'll just be pulling figures from here. Remember, already we have the mapping element, and this mapping element are exactly the ones that we have here. So what we need to do is now format the way we want our statement to appear. And as you know, as always, whenever we have net sales, other revenue, and so forth, and recharges, so the sum of this revenue or this sales revenue is going to give us the total revenue, and we can make that into bold. Okay, now after that, we want to do the summations down here, and the summations here are going to be the sum of these three entries. They are going to give up us the sum, and to do that, you're just going to come and say is equals to sum. All right, what do we want to sum? We want to sum these three elements. Hit enter, and then we can drag these ones to the right. All right, then once you remove direct costs, again you're going to have gross margins. So the gross margin again is going to be a sum of these two, because generally direct costs are going to be negative. So it is total revenue minus direct cost. So it's going to give us this. So if we say sum of this, it's just going to be okay, right? So then we pull this to the right like that. Then we come here. We now have other expenses here, all right? And because these are going to be negative, what we are interested in is this positive minus all this negative. They are going to give us earning before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization, what we are calling EBIT, all right? So again, this is going to be the sum of this, right? Enter, and then we can drag this to the right. So we are now preparing our template and where every data is just gonna fall. All right, so we're creating the summations. So now we come to EBIT, and here after you have EBITDA and you remove D and A, what we are calling depreciation and amortization, you're just gonna have EBIT. So again, this is gonna be the sum. Hit enter. Again, it's gonna be the sum of these two, right? Hit enter. Then you can drag this to the right. Once you do that, you're also filling for these other cells, right? You can see that. Then we have EBIT right here. And again, EBIT is just going to be the sum of these three cells right here. All right. Then you can pull this to the right. And finally, we are going to have EBIT, which is going to be the net income. So again, this is going to be the EBIT minus taxes. This is just going to be the sum of these two. Hit enter, drag to the right, and now the summation structure is falling into shape step by step. All right, now the juicy part now, and that is populating the figures now. And we want to pull these figures from our master database that we created very nicely. Well, again, we just come here, and the formula we are going to use is called the sumifs, all right, or the summing formula. But I want you to stick to sumif. It is the most current formula, the most simple formula to understand and work with. So you're just gonna say sumifs. We are enjoying life, right? Sumifs. Now come, we want the sum range. And the sum range, we are going to get it from our master database right here. And because in our case, we want for the financial year 20, remember, again, let me repeat that so that you can get it. Now, we want to come into this database and get the corresponding sales, the corresponding figure in each of these three columns. All right, financial year 2016, 2017, and 18. And to do that, we come here and say sum ifs, right? Sum range, we are interested in the column that has the financial year 2016 figures. So the sum range is this one. So you can highlight all of it here, up here. And that means if you happen to add any data below, if you have data that will be coming into these extra cells that do not have anything, then it will be picked. All right. Very nice. So now we have already highlighted that, comma, the sum range is sorted. Now we come to the criteria range. Now, the criteria range is going to be this mapping element, this one here, all right? Because this is where we want to look our criteria, all right? So, put comma, then the criteria is what we want to look up into this column here, and that we will find in our sheet here. And I can see it is obstructed, but let me copy this formula. Sometime you copy and cut, then you paste it, then it's just gonna come. So don't worry about that. So I'm gonna recut this first of all. So our criteria is this cell here, because this net cell is what we are looking here, right? In this column of mapping is what we are looking here. And when we find it, we want the corresponding total sum in this column. So we are going to again come here. Once we paste the formula, you can see now it doesn't obstruct this. I think it's a weird thing for Excel. So we highlight that the criteria is net sales. All right. Now our formula is complete. Close the bracket, hit enter, and you can see just like that the first sales figure has been pulled. Okay, very nice. Now we go again to the financial year 2017 and do the same. So it's gonna be is equals to sumifs, right? The sum range, we come to the master database and we are interested in this column for 2017. He that, comma, the criteria range is what is being asked to for next year. So you're just gonna get it from the mapping, right? Hit comma, and now the next thing that we want is the net sales. And where do we find the net sales? Again, the net sale. Let me cut this so that you can get to see it. Our net sale is this column. We can just mark it, which is B4, so that we can just have to continue next time. So pull that way, then come and indicate it is that one right there, and close the bracket, hit enter. Now it has pulled that figure. Next one, we need to go to the financial year 2018. So you're just gonna say sum ifs, all right? Then as for the sum range, the sum range is in our master database, financial year 2018. Put a comma. The criteria range, again, same, the mapping column, comma. The criteria 1, we are interested in the first element of net sales, which we saw was B4. So I can just write that here, B4, and I can close that bracket. And what did I do wrong? Okay. Oh, I've put B $sign. I need to put B4, sorry for that. And now my criteria range 1 is complete. I can hit enter, and now I have my 3 sales populated. Now I can format them the way I want, and I can come here and say, well, I'm interested in, for instance, here I can say my amount is already, I'm saying it is in Kenya shilling in millions. So I can convert this into million, right? The way I can do this is just coming up here and say divide by 1 million, so that I can have everything in 1 million. So those are 6 zeros. Hit enter, all right? Then I can, no, this is 100,000. I want 6 zeros right there. So I have that. Then I can come here, this here, and say I want this divided by 1,000, so that I can convert it into million, right? Like that. Hit enter. Then I can come again here, divide this by 100,000, just to avoid those ugly looking figures, right? Now, once I'm done with that, I can now copy these figures and just paste them into the corresponding cells, and they'll be pulling the respective amounts for these elements here. I can just copy, come here, right click, and say I want to paste formulas. All right. Once I hit that, then it fills everything that I wanted. Okay. Then I come into this. Already I've copied it. Then I come into this, and then I right click and say, oh, it has disappeared. It's okay. I can copy these, then come into every blank cell here and say I want to paste formulas only. All right. So the formula then extract everything it needs to extract. And then I can come here. Very easy, very fantastic way of preparing your statement. Right click, paste formulas, right? Come here again, easy life, right? Then come here again, paste formulas. Then I can come here again, paste formulas. And in so doing, I've been able to prepare my whole set of profit and loss statement. Now, as you can see, that is an entirely complete, and you can see 2016 we made a profit, 2017 we made some losses, and 2018 we made some profit. Now, after you've prepared your financial statement, you may want to see the growth. Are you growing as a company? You're the accountant. Is your company growing? Is it falling down? So you may want to do year in, year out comparison. For instance, I want to see how are sales performing compared to 2016, and how are the 2018 sales doing compared to 2017, and so on and so forth. So I can come here and say I want to do the growth rates analysis, and I want to look at the variances. How are they growing? How are they performing? And to do that, we can use a simple formula for that, and we want to compare this against this. So we can say we want this over this, right? Now, if you hit enter, you can see that there is a growth of 11%. No wonder it is 111%. Now, if we want to remove with the growth element alone, we can just come here and say -1. So -1, we are removing the other 100 so that we can only have 11. And you do that, you have 11%. Now, if you move this to the right, you are now comparing this 2-year financial year 2018 and 2017. Or maybe I can make that even more practical, right? So you can come again here and say is equals to the financial year 2018 divided by the financial year 2017, right? And then you're going to see that the growth rate is 93%. But then once you introduce the -1, you can be able to see the accurate growth rate, and we have a negative growth rate of 7%. And it is true. You can see 2017 we had 16M, now we have 15M, so there is a decline. Now these two are complete, and we can now just come and copy and then come and just populate them here by pasting formulas. All right, then you can just come here, paste formulas. All right, we can even highlight everything here to the bottom here and right click and paste formulas. And in so doing, now we have a whole complete set of a financial statement, and it is our first statement. We have 2 more to go. We have a balance sheet to go, and we have the statement of cash flow to go, right? But now the first one, the P&L, is coming to the end. Now we have to spice things up quite a bit, right? Now we need to do what we call key performance indicators, right? You can make that bold a bit. Now the key performance indicators, we want to see how are our margins doing, the gross margin. What is the percentage of gross margin compared to sales? What is the percentage? Now, we want also to see how is EBITDA doing against the sales. So we want to see the percentage of EBITDA compared to sales. And then we want to see how the earning before interest and tax is doing compared to sales. Now, these performance indicators, they can be able to guide us to understand how the business is doing, right? And to do that, you just need to come here and say is equals, we want gross margin percentage, so we come to gross margin divided by sales, right? So we want to see how that is doing, and we can see that it is up. It is 125%. Now we can come to the next one here, and that is EBITDA percentage, right? So again, is equals to EBITDA. Sorry. This one I didn't say -1, so that we can see that the gross margin is a minute. I confirm something here. Yeah. You can see the gross margin, what we have here is 25%. Now, the EBITDA is going to be, again, this divided by this, all right? And we can see that it is 57%. This one I didn't have to put -1. Now, we go to the next one, which is EBIT, the percentage of EBIT compared to net sales, right? So again, this is going to be is equals to EBIT right here, compared or divided by our net, not net, but total. Sorry, total. It's supposed to be total. Sorry for that. So it is, no wonder I was wondering what was happening. So it is gross margin, this here, divided by 22, because this way we have the total revenue, right? So we have, it's 80% of that, right? Now we have again EBITDA. So this is again going to be is equals to EBITDA divided by the total revenue, right? So we are going to have that as 37%. Now we can put this to the right, and it's just going to migrate with that, so that you can see what is happening in these 3 years right here. And you can see that we have some good performance indicator, and it is telling us, for instance, the EBITDA, which is very important. It is telling us that we need to control our operating expenses, because, for instance, in this case, our EBITDA is 37% of the net sale. Maybe we need to reduce our operating expenses so that we can move this maybe to 40%, you know. So these key performance indicators are very important. And so we have come to the end of preparing our very first financial statement, and that is the profit and loss statement. In our next lecture, I will be looking at the preparation of the balance sheet. Come along.